Welcome, everyone, to the debate on whether big cats should be domesticated. I'd like to invite Michael to present his constructive statement. Michael, please share your thoughts on this topic.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this issue. Firstly, I want to clarify that when I argue for the domestication of big cats, I do so from a perspective that focuses on their conservation and the potential benefits to humans, while ensuring their welfare and survival. Historically, humans have domesticated animals for various purposes, such as companionship, security, and aiding with tasks. However, the domestication of big cats should not be likened to these instances, but rather seen as a modern conservation strategy to save these magnificent creatures from extinction. It could involve a process of selective breeding over generations to create a smaller, more docile variant, similar to how wild cats became today's house cats. This domestication could also create a new bond between humans and big cats, fostering a greater understanding and respect that could lead to enhanced conservation efforts. Furthermore, with strict regulations and a scientifically guided approach, any welfare concerns could be mitigated. In summary, the domestication of big cats could potentially be a revolutionary step in preserving these species and enriching human lives, but it must be pursued responsibly and ethically.
Ladies and gentlemen, while I acknowledge my opponent's innovative perspective, I must firmly oppose the notion of domesticating big cats for several compelling reasons. Firstly, the domestication process overlooks the inherent wild nature of these majestic animals. Big cats are apex predators with instincts and behaviors that have evolved over millennia for life in the wild, not in human homes or controlled environments. Altering their genetics through selective breeding not only poses ethical concerns, but also risks unforeseen consequences on their physical and psychological well-being. Secondly, even if domesticated, the specialized diet and habitat requirements of big cats make them unsuitable for life as pets. For instance, these animals need large territories and complex environments to thrive, which a typical domestic setting cannot provide. The costs and resources required to meet these needs are beyond what most individuals or institutions can reasonably sustain. Thirdly, the risks posed to human safety cannot be overstated. Big cats, even if selectively bred for docility, retain their powerful predatory instincts. Domestication does not guarantee the elimination of their capacity to cause harm. In the instances where large carnivores like big cats have been kept in close proximity to humans, we have seen numerous accounts of attacks and fatalities. Lastly, rather than domesticating big cats for conservation purposes, we should be focusing on protecting their natural habitats and addressing the root causes of their endangerment, such as poaching, human-wildlife conflict, and habitat destruction. True conservation efforts fortify the survival of species within their natural ecosystems, rather than reshaping them to fit our own. In summary, the domestication of big cats is not a viable or ethical solution to conservation. We must seek alternative approaches that respect their wild nature and guarantee their preservation in the wild.
Thank you, Michael and Steve, for your insightful statements. Let's now move to the rebuttal round. Michael, please present your rebuttal to Steve's arguments against the domestication of big cats.
Thank you, Steve, for your articulate arguments. However, I believe there are some misconceptions to address. While it is true that big cats are inherently wild creatures, domestication is a process that has been successfully applied to numerous species over thousands of years, often yielding animals that are well adapted to living alongside humans. The domestication of big cats, as I propose it, would be a long-term endeavor that would prioritize their well-being above all else. It is not about forcing an immediate and unnatural change, but facilitating an evolution that could potentially benefit both the species and humans. In response to the concerns about ethics and welfare, I argue that a scientifically guided approach would focus on maintaining the health and natural behaviors of the cats as much as possible, without imposing undue stress or harm. Moreover, conservation in situ, while ideal, faces increasing challenges due to human activities and environmental changes. The prospect of domestication doesn't negate our duties to preserve wild habitats. It supplements conservation efforts by potentially creating a sustainable population that could live under human care. As for the risks to human safety, the process of domestication would inherently select for traits that favor gentleness and reduced aggression, similar to how we've done with dogs. With proper management and breeding strategies, the likelihood of danger can be drastically reduced. Finally, this debate is not about replacing other conservation methods, but about recognizing that we may need innovative solutions as we confront the current extinction crisis. Domestication, as a supplementary conservation tool, offers an avenue worth exploring, especially when executed with the utmost care for the animal's welfare and dignity.
I appreciate Michael's comments and dedication to this issue, yet my stance remains unchanged. Domestication is not a synonym for conservation. It is indeed a complex and transformative process with a high potential for negative impacts on the species involved. Even with the best intentions, we must not blur the line between animals that have co-evolved with humans for mutual benefit and the artificial creation of a domestic, big cat that still requires intensive management and specialized care. Michael mentioned that domestication has worked for other species, but it is pertinent to emphasize that no large apex predator has ever been domesticated successfully, and this is not for lack of trying. Over thousands of years, humans have not managed to domesticate any big cat species, primarily because their evolutionary biology is not conducive to the traits we associate with domestic animals. In contrast, species like dogs evolved from wolves that had natural tendencies to form social bonds, including with humans. This is not the case with solitary and territorial big cats. Selective breeding to achieve gentleness poses a danger of creating animals that are neither fit for the wild nor truly tame, thus existing in a harmful limbo. The unpredictability of such an initiative could lead to welfare issues and unpredictable behavior, rendering the efforts counterproductive both for the species and humans. More critically, focusing on domestication diverts attention and resources from proven conservation practices, such as anti-poaching initiatives, habitat preservation, and global policy reform, which are the current best practices for wildlife conservation. To preserve big cats, we must invest in these efforts, not in domestication, which is fraught with ethical, practical, and environmental concerns. A species saved in captivity through domestication is a species lost to the wild, and that is not true conservation.
Thank you, Michael and Steve, for sharing your thoughtful arguments on the topic of whether big cats should be domesticated. This has been an engaging and educational discussion. Both of you have presented compelling points addressing the complexities and ethical considerations associated with the domestication of big cats. Michael, you emphasized the potential for domestication to serve as a conservation strategy that could, in theory, benefit both big cats and humans when pursued with responsible breeding and management. Steve, you stressed the inherent risks and ethical concerns of domesticating big cats, advocating for a focus on protecting their natural habitats and addressing the root causes of their endangerment. Your perspectives have illuminated the multifaceted nature of this issue. While the debate has been rich with diverse viewpoints, it is clear that the question of whether big cats should be domesticated remains complex and contentious, with significant ethical, practical, and conservation implications. It is evident that this is a topic that warrants continued examination and discussion within the broader context of wildlife conservation and human-animal relationships. With that, we conclude the debate on should big cats be domesticated. Thank you both for your contributions, and thank you to our audience for engaging in this important dialogue.